Hello, I'm Ashok Khosla with The Green Show. The central issue facing our society is the need to create sustainable livelihoods. Sustainable livelihoods create purchasing power, and with it, greater economic and social equity. Above all, they represent remunerative, satisfying, and meaningful jobs that do not destroy the resource base of the community. Sustainable livelihoods will require sustainable enterprises. Sustainable enterprises produce goods and services that are needed to better the lives of the people. At the same time, being environment friendly, they minimize waste, use renewables, and generally conserve resources. The challenge for business enterprises is to design and implement strategies to improve efficiency of production processes, to create less waste, and recycle as much as possible. In this manner, business interests can be integrated with the creation of sustainable livelihoods.
In this edition of The Green Show, we have Fire Within, a story on the coal fires of Charia, Organic Gloria, the process of recycling in India's largest organic farm, Fuel Wise, on how to save fuel and money for your company, and Sewage Gas, a look at the success story of piped gas from sewage.
Coal provides most of the commercial energy in our country. It is the raw material used in largest quantity in industry, and it lights fires for cooking and heating in the homes of tens of millions of people. But in the coal fields of Charia in Bihar, coal has created a different kind of combustion, a lethal fire under the ground. Spreading through a vast subterranean network of mines, these fires endanger the lives of lakhs of people living in the area above. They also destroy the environment and send millions of rupees worth of coal up in useless flames. Huge amounts of money, including World Bank loans, are being used to fight such underground fires. We take you to Charia for an in-depth look at this unusual battlefield.
On the Bihar-Bengal border lies the coal belt of Charia, holding the country's prime coking coal deposits. The total expanse of 288 square kilometers is managed by the Bharati Coking Coal Limited, a subsidiary of Coal India Limited. The private miners had the mining rights, and they exploited the resources for profit. All this was foregrounded when the coal industry was nationalized in 1971, and it was discovered that underground fires was the major mining problem.
In World War I and World War II, during that tenure, the period of World War I and World War II, people went for reckless mining. There's a very strong spurt in demand of coal. All these coal on the surface, near the surface, on the top seam, which is prime quality coking coal, have worked haphazardly, unscientifically, to meet the demand which came up in World War I and World War II, which resulted into spontaneous heating, and number of fires cropped up. And today the fires are more than 65 fires burning around the coal field.
Today, fires are raging in the Charia coal fields, endangering the environment, people, and millions of rupees of trapped coking coal. Coal, being a highly combustible substance, catches fire easily. Once the fire starts, it spreads rapidly through the cracks and openings, finding its own channel of air supply. Out of the total 258 square kilometers, 17 square kilometers has been affected by the fire. A total amount of about 2,500 tons of coking coal is being lost per day and is valued at rupees 10 lakhs, a stupendous national loss. Fire has also become an increasing threat to life and property. A total of 2 lakh people are affected by this fire in Charia town today. Smoke and poison is all there is in the air here. The environmental damage is also monumental. It is estimated that about 2 million tons of carbon dioxide is produced per year, besides the release of toxic gases like oxides of sulfur, nitrogen, and carbon monoxide. The ravaged environment is a clear testimony to this poisonous onslaught. Land subsidence due to the underground fire has now reached very near the railway lines, threatening the very communication system of Charia. Land subsidence is also threatening 10,000 houses, which face imminent danger of collapse. 2,500 have already done so. The Mine Safety Policy of 1952 outlines that any mining company has to ensure the safety of its workers in mining operations, and also that the people living around the mines are not exposed to the hazards of mining. But one visit to the town of Charia refutes this policy completely. In the face of such severe degradation and financial loss, what is the company doing to combat this fire? BCCL is doing its share of firefighting, which is, however, highly inadequate. Out of the 17 major fires identified, only 5 have been extinguished completely and 6 have been controlled. This firefighting project has a total capital outlay of rupees 115 crores. Firefighting operations take place in various modes. The fire is usually physically dug out. Fires can also be neutralized by liquid nitrogen or isolated by trenches. Once the fire is controlled and liquidated, the land is reclaimed by spreading sand and soil over it. One major reclamation project has been Jogta. The Jogta fire project has been the success story BCCL has been proud of. Jogta was a raging fire a few years ago, but now it has been turned around completely. Black bucks and ducks play around where once flames danced all night. The latest effort of Coal India to combat fire has been to negotiate financial assistance from the World Bank. Coal India needs to get all the national and international help in the form of technical and financial assistance to combat this destructive fire. A more stringent policy needs to be formulated to ensure the safety and sound health of people both inside and outside the mines. Safe and pollution-free working conditions would mean healthy and more efficient miners. This will ensure more profit to Coal India and more coal for the nation.
Toxic chemicals that pollute the air and water are problems not only in the city. Our countryside is equally threatened by the chemicals that are increasingly used as fertilizers and pesticides in agriculture. These, in turn, come back to the city in contaminated foods and damaged life support systems. Growing use of chemicals has other impacts as well, not the least of which is the rising cost of inputs. This means declining profits both for the individual farmer and for big agribusiness. But a movement back to organic and natural farming has been growing in recent years. It promises to reduce pollution and cut the costs of food production. We now journey to Pondicherry to take a look at one of the largest organic farms in the country that is pioneering the way in this direction.
On the outskirts of Pondicherry in South India lies this 100-acre farm, Gloria land. Run by the Aurobindo Ashram, this is one of the largest organic farms in the country. Gloria has a long list of things they grow all year round.
Gloria land is 98.5 acres precisely. Out of 98.5 acres, 28.5 acres, road, buildings, stashing floors, dairy, godown, living quarters, pump house, etc. The balance 70 acres, we cultivate rice, banana, vegetables, coconut, fodder, some fruits and also some mulberry culture for the silkworm, precisely. We cultivate only 25 acres of paddy in one season only. We supply from here about 700 liters of milk per day, 6,000 bananas every day, about 200 to 300 kilograms of vegetables every day, and then 50 tons of rice per year. Besides, lots of fruits and nuts in the form of groundnuts.
Gloria produces food for about 2,000 people every day at the ashram. They have about 145 adult cows producing 700 liters of milk. And precisely around these cows, our story of recycling begins. Cows are fed farm byproducts like straw, husk, green leaves, along with their regular feed. Recycled through the cow, it comes out in the form of dung and urine. The dung is collected and used as fertilizer and biogas. The energy for cooking and other minor activities in Gloria comes from this biogas. The urine of the cows is, however, collected in this unique fashion, which is by now a model which has inspired many other organic farms. The water troughs are arranged in such a manner that during the feeding of the cows, the water from the troughs is overflowing and washing down all the urine on the floor. The dissolved urine now comes to the tank, known as the slurry tank. Whatever remains is washed down by spraying the floor with water. The slurry from the biogas units also comes to the tank. Cow's urine contains many plant hormones besides urea, potassium, and other micronutrients that plants need. Mixed with water now, it is ready to be pumped into the fields. The urine that drops on the ground and doesn't get washed into the tank has other ways of getting recycled. Twice a week, the thin layer of soil which has absorbed the urine gets scraped and collected. Fresh soil is put in its place to keep the area clean. The urine is also used as a pesticide. It is often mixed and crushed with cactus and neem, and after overnight fermentation, it becomes a potent pesticide. This pesticide doesn't have the toxicity of a chemical pesticide and thus does not get hooked on to the human food chain. But it is harmful enough for the insects which come to feed on the crop. The other farm byproducts and kitchen waste which is not utilized gets dumped into the compost pits. Sometimes the use of earthworms also increases the rate of composting. Compost, once prepared, is an organic fertilizer par excellence. Byproducts like rice husk also get used as organic fertilizer in Gloria. Organic fertilizers and pesticides are not only environmentally friendly, but also save a farmer substantial input costs. All the inputs are farm byproducts and thus free goods. For a farmer, his major costs today are inputs brought from an inflationary market. Gloria has shown how recycling helps in growing healthy crops and vegetables, and more importantly, how to be cost efficient in your production.
moving around in our bigger cities is now becoming a major hazard, a growing threat to life. Every day, we have more vehicle pollution, traffic congestion, and road accidents. Commuting time takes up a substantial part of a citizen's daily life, and our children cannot be allowed near the street for fear of their safety. What is the answer? An improved public transport system would certainly cut down the need for so many personal vehicles on the road. Countries like Singapore restrict cars through taxes on single passenger use and reserved bus lanes. But there are other, more immediate things we, each of us, can do. Here's what a corporate house with a large fleet of vehicles can do to reduce traffic problems and at the same time save money.
Cars are the single main polluters of our city. In 5 years, their number has doubled, causing a rise in poisonous fumes that is now life-threatening. Lead fumes, for instance, have gone up by 18 times the permissible limit. Industrial vehicular pollution is a major contributor. Both government departments and large companies own fleets of cars for their executives. A single company car driven 1,500 kilometers a month pumps 6 tons of carbon dioxide into the air every year. Most executives who use company cars do not feel a sense of responsibility towards their fuel efficiency, not realizing that the pollution in the air affects them just as much. No matter who owns the car, the impact on the earth is the same. If all company cars improved their fuel efficiency by just 1 kilometer per liter, a saving of 500 million liters of petrol could be made. Here are a few guidelines to cut down not only on pollution, but to increase fuel efficiency. This translates into higher profits for the company and happier bosses. Switch to smaller cars for fleet use. A car gets 20% better fuel mileage at 60 kilometers per hour than at 80 kilometers per hour. Driving smoothly, accelerating and slowing down gently can increase fuel mileage by about 5%. Another 5% can be saved by just tuning the car properly and regularly. Get the junk out of your car. Is it very important to carry tools and a spare battery? The lighter your car, the less fuel it will burn and the less pollution it will cause. Every 45 kilos of extra weight decreases fuel efficiency by 1%. Check your tires every week. When correctly inflated, tires can save up to 10% on performance efficiency. Radial tires are 4% more efficient than cross-ply ones. Air conditioners in cars cause an average release of 1.1 litre of CFCs per car into the atmosphere. According to studies, light-coloured cars with tinted glasses need less air conditioning than others. An air conditioner uses more fuel per mile as well. Companies should start looking at 3-way catalytic converters that reduce the emissions of carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxides from each car by 75%. Look at the internationally recognized flexi time for office. If your executive travel during non-peak hours and plan their routes so as to stop at the least number of traffic lights, they will save on fuel. Another way to save costs and increase profits is to encourage carpools amongst your executives. 75% of the cars going to and from work are single-occupant cars. One possible way to set up a car-sharing program in your company is to place a large map on the bulletin board and have employees pin the names and phone numbers of their neighborhoods on the map. Match riders and drivers who live within a few miles of each other. In fact, advertise your company's pool as an eco-friendly step.
The sewage and wastes of our cities are generally dumped in the nearby rivers and lakes. With growing populations, they end up by contaminating our entire life support systems. Various attempts have been made to turn this waste into wealth, but not with much success. Now the residents of a South Delhi suburb have taken the initiative and shown that not only can recycling of wastewater be eco-friendly, but also economically viable. If the people in your neighborhood want to join you in converting waste into useful and inexpensive energy, watch this experiment from the people who made it happen.
These are sights city dwellers get to view each time they step out of their houses. They've become a permanent part of the landscape of almost every city in India, and a nightmare for the civic authorities. Classifying all these as wastes may not always be appropriate. Many a times, these very wastes can be recycled to give a positive benefit for society. One such instance is the treatment of domestic sewage, a process that generates a significant amount of biogas. This gas, if properly tapped and stored, can provide a clean source of energy. This sewage treatment plant at Okhla, New Delhi, is doing just that. The plant, one of the first of its kind in the country, was set up in 1937 with a small treatment capacity of 18 million gallons per day. Over the years, as Delhi expanded, the plant capacity was gradually raised. And today, it handles a whopping 124 million gallons of sewage each day. An immense amount of biogas is also produced as a byproduct. Sewage from various parts of the capital is fed into the plant. It goes through successive stages of treatment and is made clean enough for irrigation purposes. The treated water is then fed into the Agra Canal, an irrigation canal going into Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. What remains is the non-soluble organic component of sewage, sludge. The sludge is taken to vast digesters where it decomposes to yield biogas. The gas is collected in these holders and supplied to the users by means of underground pipes. Today, 5,300 connections are in place. There are many bulk buyers of this gas. The Holy Family Hospital in South Delhi is one of them. The fuel needs of the central kitchen here are largely met by the piped gas. But the majority of the consumers of the gas are households located around the Okhla plant. The advantages of this gas over other conventional fuels are many.
We are using this gas for the last 4-5 years. It is very convenient, safe, and of course economical. It is environment friendly too. I feel every house should be using it.
The concept of recycling hasn't caught on in our country. The Okhla plant, however, proves that recycling is sensible in more ways than one. With concerted efforts of residents and local civil authorities, the replication of this model has immense potential.
Thinking people all over the country recognize the fact that our development priorities must change, and yet Most have accepted the massive destruction of our environment and unabated rise of the population with a helpless resignation. Most of us seem to assume that it is somebody else's problem. Others just hope that natural factors will somehow make it go away on its own. These issues need a new social contract between the people and their leaders. The leaders of the corporate sector have a special role to play, but it cannot now be left to any one constituency alone to deal with. More important, decision-making must be placed in the hands of the people, above any parochial consideration of caste, color, or creed, and outside the arena of electoral politics.